This video was inspired by a blog I read online. I'm not going to call it an article because most articles online nowadays are just blogs, but it had something to do with video games and it caught my attention. The writer in this blog had mentioned if Nintendo will become like Sega eventually, that is, if Nintendo eventually drops out of the console race. So recently the Nintendo 3DS had a massive price drop from $249.99 to $169.99, and was I surprised by this? Well, not really, because initially the Nintendo 3DS launch titles weren't that great, and I still tell people to this day that I'm not sure if I'll buy a Nintendo 3DS because of the games. If anything, I'll buy it for The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. Only because I'm a Zelda fan, like a huge Zelda fan, and not because I really want a Nintendo 3DS. The fact of the matter is that the Nintendo 3DS, which was extremely highly anticipated at E3 2010, and got everyone excited, didn't really do as anticipated by Nintendo. Now, the writer of the article that I read, which the link will be in the description if you actually want to read it, he mentions that this will happen to the Wii U as well. And his argument pretty much was the Nintendo Wii U is going to pretty much catch up with PS3 and Xbox 360 in terms of graphics and being in HD, but doing so, Nintendo's kind of putting themselves in a tough spot because by the time Sony and Microsoft come out with a new console, those graphics are going to be 100 times better than Wii U's graphics. So what the heck is Nintendo doing? Why didn't they go that extra mile? Now, why wouldn't Nintendo go the extra mile? Yes, the new controller looks pretty awesome and it will attract consumers that love touchscreen devices, but is that the only driving force behind the console? Right now it seems to be, because if you take a step back, you'll notice that Nintendo's always used a gimmick to sell their console since Nintendo 64. And maybe even Virtual Boy, but Nintendo 64 in the console world, because, well, 64, that was more than PlayStation's 32, 64 bits. That means we're more powerful, better graphics. Look at us, you know, Super Mario 64, Pilot Wing 64, Mario Kart 64. We try to emphasize that we are better because we have 64 bits. And, well, if you look at the GameCube, look, you can connect your GameCube to your Game Boy Advance. Wow, and you can play with your friends and da-da-da-da, and it has more special features. That didn't really sell me, but, you know, some kids actually like that, and they bought their Game Boy Advances and connect them to their GameCubes, and you can do some cool things like in Wind Waker and Pokemon and a whole bunch of different games. And of course, the Nintendo Wii, right? Motion controls. Look, this is revolutionary stuff here. But of course, time went on and people kind of saw the Wii in a different light, as in, well, it doesn't really have as good graphics as PlayStation 3, or it doesn't have the same kind of game. So that kind of hype passed away, and now we have the Wii U with a motion controller, nice screen, and well, it's also touchscreen, and you can share photos and videos and play games on it, and it's almost like a handheld system when you turn off your TV. So there's that driving force. So let's just say Nintendo Wii U fails. Let's just say, because I don't think it will, but let's just say it does. If Nintendo Wii U did fail, would Nintendo drop out of the console race? Would they just say, you know what, we're just gonna make games now? And what if they did? What if Nintendo became like Sega and just started making games for consoles instead of making consoles? Is that such a bad thing? Is that such a bad thing to play a Mario game on a Sony console? Or how about playing Mario Kart on Xbox Live? I mean, would that be cool, or would that be a bad thing? Or what about PC gamers? Would they ever be able to play a new 3D Mario game on a PC or on a Mac? I mean, would that be awesome for them? Because they'll still get to play the great games that they play anyways, and then be treated to Nintendo games. I mean, even today, Nintendo's investors are pressuring them to come out with their downloadable games on smartphones. And Nintendo's saying, no, we will keep our games on our consoles. We don't want them to be downloadable on smartphones or iPhones or Androids, none of that. We want to keep it on the Nintendo 3DS because it's revolutionary. Is that what Nintendo's problem is? That they think they're above this? Is that what's kind of holding them back? See, I think Nintendo still has this image which kind of stuck with them since the NES and Super NES days, where, yeah, they were this known company and they were all about quality, and they still are. But you know, gamers like myself who have grown up with them and are grown up, they've jumped ship, Nintendo. They've jumped ship to PlayStation. They jumped ship to Xbox because of the kind of games they have. And I know that the Wii U is supposed to bring those hardcore gamers back, but is it too late? And if it's too late, will Nintendo drop out of the console war? And if they did, is that such a bad thing?